Hey yo, today I'm going to be ranking every single duo and harmonic unit in Fire Emblem Heroes. There are 33 of them to talk about, so get comfy because this may take a bit. This list is going to assume all units have pretty good investment, so the sample builds I show will all be at plus 10 with premium skills. I'll be taking all competitive modes into account, so the arenas, Aether Raids offense and defense, and summoner duels. So without further ado, let's start off with the F tier. All these units are poor at combat compared to the rest of the units on this list, and /or provide little support for the rest of their team. Hector was the first duo ever released, and it shows. His weapon just has armor effectiveness, and his duo skill does a little bit of chip damage to enemies. Being in armor, he has poor mobility, and although he can use save skills, his weapon and stats are so bad he won't really be good at it. This also applies to Marth. Mediocre save armor with a crappy weapon. He does have an okay duo skill giving bonus doubler, so he gets to go higher than Hector. Continuing the trend of mediocre weapons is Paula. If there are no other flying units on your team, it does literally nothing. If you do run her with flying units though, then she's just alright, with her duo skill giving her and them extra movement. Ephraim is effective against armor and cavalry units with a guaranteed follow-up, and his duo skill gives him and infantry and armor allies extra movement. His poor speed is what really hurts him here. We live in a society where every premium unit is really fast and has no follow-up. He hasn't really gone on enemy phase, and for player phase he doesn't have Canto or anything like that to help him out. Veronica is similar to Ephraim, but she can indeed use Canto on her B slot. On her weapon, she trades her armor and cav effectiveness for special acceleration, which I like more here for melee initiator. But her duo skill is pretty crappy, and overall there's nothing to write home about. That's everything for E tier. Now we're going to move on to the D tier. All these units are exceedingly average at their role. Ulm has a great special end weapon that allows him to dish out a lot of damage and can take hits pretty well. With that being said, he's in a pretty saturated role, being an infantry dodge tank, and his duo skill is mediocre at best. Alphonse has great bulk and can pre-charge his special very quickly thanks to his duo skill. His low speed does put him at a bit of a disadvantage though, and being one of the few infantry duos kinda does hurt him. Erica is similar to Ulm, being a fast melee infantry with true damage. Unlike Ulm though, she has an awesome duo skill that gives her and her allies the dodge effect. Not only does this free Erica's B slot to use no follow-up, but also allows cavalry and flying allies to get damage reduction while they normally can't. Mia is in a great role being a ranged cavalry, but unfortunately here she is probably the worst of the bunch. Even so, she can be great on Aether Raid's defense, having 75% damage reduction against her foe's first attack. Sometimes in Aether Raid's defense, it's just as advantageous to live against the unit than it is to kill them. Hilda is the ultimate support unit, giving her allies special acceleration with her weapon. Her duo skill would be incredible for Aether Raid's offense if duo's hindrance didn't exist, but even still, it can shut down some teams in arena and summoner duels. That's it for D, now let's move on to C. All these units are tanks, they're just tanks. Dune is definitely the best duo armor. Her stat spread and weapon are really not all that bad. Her duo skill gets rid of her armor and dragon weaknesses, and she can work pretty well for far or near save. There are certainly better 5-star exclusive options for this role, but when it comes to duos, she's up there. Altina is in theory awesome, with a duo skill that gives her the Vantage effect, but there are a lot of things that hold her back. It's hard to use her on Aether Raid's offense because of Duo's hindrance, but when you can, she can wipe out entire teams. This duo skill also allows her to effectively stall out your opponent in summoner duels for an entire turn. Even when her duo skill isn't active, her weapon and bulk are really great. The next three entries in C tier are these flying dragon lollies, who all have different roles. Tiki has the worst bulk and is therefore the worst at combat, but she for sure has the best duo skill, giving an adjacent ally another action. This combined with her high attack and speed makes her good for player phase strategies. Sothis has an all-around great stat spread, making her really effective for tanking. Her weapon is a bit lackluster, but it does have special acceleration, which pairs well with her unique special, which is pretty good. Her duo skill is also noteworthy, giving no follow-up to her and units who normally can't use it. Myrrh comes with guaranteed 40% damage reduction, is colorless, and is therefore, in my opinion, the best flying dragon lolly. Normally, I wouldn't recommend stacking damage reduction, but Myrrh kinda makes it work in all honesty, thanks to her already ridiculous defense and res. Her duo skill nullifies her flying weakness, and overall, if set up properly, she can be unkillable. That's it for C tier. Now we're gonna talk about the B. We're getting to the point where all these units can be terrifying to go up against. First is Dorothea, who is the worst of the duo dancers, but is not bad by any means. Being a ranged flying dancer makes her extremely mobile, and her duo skill grants another action to an ally within 2 spaces, with the caveat that that unit has to be from the same title as the Harmonic duo. She also has a weapon which is really good at debuffing. Byleth is great at just killing stuff. Her weapon enables her to use Wind Sweep effectively, preventing the enemy's counterattack a lot of the time, so she can safely take out threats with her good attack and speed. Her duo skill gives her and her allies Desperation, which complements her weapon very well. Micaiah is also a flying ranged unit, but I like her more because of her cav and armor effectiveness, amazing resistance, Colorless Tome, and Great Duo Skill, which gives her and her allies the Dominance effect. Byleth is more suited to taking out melee threats, while Micaiah does better against magic users' calves and armors. Lif, being a ranged cav, is, like Mia, great for 8th Raid's defense. He is pretty bulky, but what's really special about him is his ability to cut through damage reduction. This can make it so he can kill a lot of tanks that utilize damage reduction skills. His dual skill isn't particularly noteworthy, but on 8th Raid's defense that won't matter anyway. Leaf has some awesome mobility, being a ranged cav, having Kanto, and coming with a very unique ranged Gale Force in Niora and Zeal, which he can activate very easily. His dual skill is also pretty crazy, giving him the Desperation effect and a guaranteed follow-up attack. Most impressively perhaps is his ability to look death in the eyes and just say no. When an attack is supposed to knock him to 0 HP, he'll live on 1 instead. What a baller. Shada is an incredible melee initiator, being effective against literally more than half the units in the game, and coming with Kanto 2. She also grants another action to an ally within 2 spaces of her because she's really just built different like that. This makes her awesome for Gale Force strategies on 8th Raid's offense or just a melee initiator anywhere else. That's the last entry in B tier, now moving on to A. All these units are completely meta-defining in at least a couple of modes. Starting off A tier is Ike. Now I know what you're thinking. Connor Zach, all the other melee infantries are in like D tier, what's Ike doing up here? And you would be right, in terms of pure combat ability, Ike is like D at best. But his duo skill completely counters the most prominent and meta strategies currently in the game. It uncharges the special of enemies within 5 rows or 5 columns of him, and inflicts guard on them. Literally the scariest nukes in the game right now all rely on pre-charging their special, including units on this very list. This means the tanks on your team, including Ike himself, can reliably take a hit from these threats and just ruin your enemy's day. Sigurd is a dancer and he is on a horse. That's the only reason why he's here, that's just a great combo. Mobility is the thing you want more than anything else on a dancer, and Sigurd's got it. His dual skill gives him a little bit of extra movement, which is greatly appreciated, and his weapon gives some pretty good matchups against some mages too. Catra used to be the queen of 8th Raid's defense, but then Elamine was introduced as a hard counter to her, and now you can only use her half the time. Even still, on dark defense teams, she allows for so many shenanigans it's absurd. In Summoner Duels, she can create some big brain plays, especially when you take into account her duo skill, which gives a guaranteed follow-up and desperation. Lyn has the extremely unique and amazing duo skill that gives herself another action. She's incredible at taking out weak units, so you can either take out 2 units in 1 turn, or take out 1 and then get away safely. Her weapon makes her great at taking out certain weak units, and definitely some tanks too. Other tanks she'll for sure struggle with, such as save armors, but with some setup she can get the job done. Lysithea is an awesome nuke who has the potential to take out a ton of common tanks. Being a ranged cavalry gives her a huge threat range, which she takes great advantage of. Her dual skill also gives her bonus doubler to give her just that much more attack. Unfortunately, her and a certain other unit we'll get to in a bit have popularized the usage of the deflect magic skill, which does hurt her a bit, but overall she does really well. Hinoka is in my opinion the most underrated duo in the game. To start off, her duo skill gives her and her flying allies within 3 spaces extra movement. She also inflicts the gravity effect on non-flying ranged units within 3 rows or columns. To put that into comparison, Port Paulo way down there just gives extra movement to adjacent flying allies, and that's it. Hinoka's duo skill not only greatly buffs your allies, but greatly debuffs your enemies. Now for her weapon, which is effective against armors, deals adaptive damage, and against blue foes, she attacks twice. Hinoka straight up kills any blue save armor, including Adun and Brave Hector, and potentially even more. There's one reason Hinoka isn't in the S tier, and that's because she's unfortunately completely outclassed by a certain other duo green bow flyer. And that concludes the A tier. Now finally, the moment we've all been waiting for, the S tier. All of these units are... Hold on. What? Oh jeez. The power went out! Freddy Fazbear's gonna get us! The only way to get the power back is for you to scroll down and hit that subscribe button right away! Hurry! Oh, phew. Thank you so much. Okay. Now let's talk about the S tier. The mere existence of every unit here has a direct impact on the meta. To effectively counter them, you absolutely need certain skills or units, and if not prepared for them, you will lose. Azura is one of only 2 cavalry dancers in the game, and she is certainly the better of the 2. She has the same duo skill as Dorothea, giving an ally within 2 spaces who is from the same title as her another action. This is okay, but what really makes her great is her unique dance skill, Grey Waves. This gives an ally who has already acted another action, and if they're an infantry or flying unit, they can move an extra space. This is just amazing for mobility and can be used in all competitive modes for some gross strategies. Azura herself also has workable attack and speed and can take out weaker units. Peony is also a dancer, and this may be controversial, but I think she's better than Azura. Her unique dance skill gives a unit other action, and also gives a bunch of units the ability to move to a space adjacent to an ally within 2 spaces. This extra mobility from her dance skill is, like Azura's, extremely valuable. What makes Peony better in my opinion is her duo skill, which gives another action to any adjacent ally, not just one from the same title as Peony. This extra flexibility gives you so many more options in every mode, which in a lot of cases will get you the win more reliably. Ninjorin is in theory the best nuke in the game. She's a ranged cavalry with a double attack, true damage, and the same busted duo skill as Lyn. I'm super happy that she won the Hero Rises voting event because she's great, but it was both a blessing and a curse. It's great that everyone has received a free copy of her, but since she's so prevalent now, pretty much all Save Armors need to be able to either take a hit from her or run the Deflect Magic Seal. This goes back to what I said about units in the S tier being meta defining. If you're not ready for Ninjorin, you're gonna take the L. Sonya is honestly really funny to me. She's able to pre-charge her special in an instant and therefore with an AoE special destroy pretty much anything. The thing is, literally nobody has her. She came out right around the same time as the all-green Hero Rises banner, arguably the best banner in the game's history, so nobody had any orbs to spare. Her duo skill can charge her special and also that of her allies from the same title as her, and her weapon gives her arguably better movement than Ninjorin.
Quam.
Here he is, the man himself, Quam. He of course comes with the best skill in the game, to change fate, which is now uber insane wacko strong thanks to his weapon. Not only does it position an ally behind him and allow Quam to act again, but it also charges the special of him and that ally. For Quam, this means getting his Deadeye charged faster like it's high noon, and for his ally that can mean getting up an AoE special, which is super powerful in this meta. He also is effective against armors, because why not? Has a guaranteed follow-up, because why not? And has a great duo skill that gives him and his allies a bunch of stats, because why not? Finally, we have not just a unit, but a menace. Someone who looks at the meta that has been established in Fire Emblem Heroes thus far, scoffs, and says, check this out. This is Duo Dagger's world, and we all just live in it. Firstly, Dagger comes with the Pathfinder effect. Already this makes her entire team more mobile, especially on Aetheryde's defense. This pairs very well with her bonkers combat ability. Dagger comes with no follow-up, which is not only extremely rare for a ranged flyer, but extremely good. She also has special acceleration, meaning she can sling out Deadeyes like crazy. She also just so happens to score the best a unit possibly can in Arena, where she does really well thanks to her mobility. As if that wasn't enough, she has easily the best duo skill in the game, which gives your allies the Pathfinder effect. You can use this to turn your team into a goddamn expressway and reach the enemy in literally a single turn. As a brave Hector user in Summoner Duels, when I see a Duo Dagger, my strategy usually involves pressing that funny little surrender button. I am so glad she didn't win the Hero Rises voting gauntlet. Everyone running around with a Duo Dagger sounds like actual purgatory. That's it for S tier, and now it's time for my favorite part of the tier list. An S+++++ tier is your favorite unit. If you don't care about the meta and only want to play to make your favorites as strong as possible, I will always advocate for you to do so. Please leave a comment with your favorite duo hero and all the investment you've put into them. I'd love to hear all your favorites. And that's the whole list, here it is. As always, if you disagree with anything, feel free to leave a comment and we can have a nice civilized discussion about it. If you enjoyed, then please consider subscribing. You never know when Freddy Fazbear might come back. And as always, thank you so much for watching.